We've been out on tour with Chevelle for about 2 weeks now in the UK and Europe. This is our very last night. We're very happy to be here, but we're sad that it's over. We're happy that you guys are here with us.
My name is Christopher Russell Robine, and I play drums.
I'm Mark Ingalls, I play guitar.
My name's Ben Flanagan. I play bass and sing in Black Map from San Francisco, California.
So Black Map's a newer band for me. Been playing seriously for about a year now, and our first show was just a year ago. We've all known each other for a bit longer. I was in a band called Dredge for the last 20 years, so a while, and Dredge played shows with Far, which was Chris's old band.
The band really started with myself and Mark, great friends, just having beer, and wanting to do a project that was heavier than anything that we'd done previously with any of our other projects. And we were just talking about how cathartic heavy music is when we do play really heavy riffs, really heavy music, how good it feels to us. And so that was really the genesis of it. And then we talked about who else we'd want to be in the band with. And we thought about Chris Robine, who we grew up listening to in Far. And I think we texted him while we were at the bar, and he basically said, I'm in. So a couple weeks later, we got together and started playing.
And the first occasion of that, he brought Mark along as well, which I was not aware of until I was en route to the rehearsal. And I remember telling Ben that I should probably turn around and go rehearse a little more before I show up for practice with Mark. But that was laughed off, and we showed up and we played, and it was fun.
We decided to try it, and there was really no expectations at all. It was really kind of just, let's get in a room and do it and see what happens. We didn't know if it was going to just be a fun project or if it was going to do something more serious. And then when the songs started to come together, we felt like, okay, we have something here, and we wanted people to hear it, so we decided to start recording.
You know, it was musically love at first sight, so to speak. So it was a beautiful thing. Basically, Mark or myself would always come up with the riff. I would generally get on an acoustic guitar at our apartment and write something, or he'd write something. And the riff to "I'm Just the Driver" was something that he came up with.
The driver riff was something I had sitting around for just on my own for probably a good year or two. If I get ideas at home, I just demo it like most people. And I didn't know how I was going to use it, but it was my desire to be in a heavy band again. That riff was kind of always sitting there.
Yeah, there was a handful of songs before that which were us figuring out what the heck we were going to be doing. We knew it wanted to be a heavy sounding and sort of back to the way that I originally learned to play.
And when I brought it to the guys and we jammed on it, it really felt natural and good.
I think we just showed up for rehearsal, and Trophy Fire had played a show the week before, and John Schumann, the drummer, had used some of my drums and forgot to bring back the cymbals. So I didn't have any cymbals, and we found a bunch of broken ones in the practice space, and I think we put together a drum set. So it was a very, very broken down drum set that I was playing that day. And I think I just took sort of a more punk rock attitude towards playing that day.
And when we tracked it for the first time, we knew that, okay, it sounds big and heavy, but it doesn't sound contrived. It doesn't sound like we're trying to be metal or anything. It just sounds very, very honest. And of course, when Ben Flanagan put down the lyrics, it was great. It kind of walked the line between, something, what's the word to use, heavy, but not trying to be too tough. It still felt kind of beautiful and real at the same time. So I think we all loved that aspect of it.
Mentally, you approach it a little differently, and like, hell, I'm just gonna bang my way through this. But it was a good attitude to have for for those particular riffs at that particular time. And then when I did get all my drums back together, it sounded even better.
We all got in a room, and that was, I think, for me, the first time that the band really came together and coalesced, and it was awesome. It was a great feeling, because that song, it's still, arguably our favorite song to play, and we absolutely have played it every show. We play it every night, and it's cool that it was one of the first things that happened. It was really kind of a sign that this band was gonna, be something good, was that we had some quality that was cathartic and fun to play it from the very top. Most of the album, from my perspective, lyrically, is about our reactions to chaos and how we are affected by it, but most importantly, how we react in the face of it. Sometimes we run away, sometimes we face it head on.
I think "And We Explode" as a title is, a metaphor for. It's not actually an explosion. It's a metaphor for, those times, those moments when certain people need to make a change or to do something, whether it's traveling or whether it's, completely changing some habit you've had your whole life, or a paradigm shift, or, just mixing something up because it's just been too stagnant for that amount of time. And it could be something small or it could be something big,
I'm not one to focus on lyrics and names and things other than the name of the band. I think we made a list of potential titles and names and things, and that seemed to fit, especially with the type of imagery that Mark had already provided with his photographs and things like that. So it just seemed to fit, and the sort of the initial visceral reaction when you read that or see that, I think, kind of lends itself to what it is that we do. I don't think you'd think it was going to be some jazz record or instrumental or thing like that. You're going to think it's going to be potentially some loud rock music.
We recorded our record with Aaron Hellam at Hellam Sound in Oakland, California.
We're really fortunate that Aaron Hellam, who produced the EP and the LP, the record, he's right down the hallway from our rehearsal space. So it was too easy to just, when we had songs starting to collect, when we had the first 3, the first 4, we just got to go in there for, a very affordable price because he's our friend and he's a great, talented engineer, and just kind of lay it down and see where we stood. You know, because we didn't know. We didn't know what it was going to be like. We had never played a live show. We just played ourselves in the room. So I think we had probably 3 or 4 songs. We went in and tracked them. 2 of them were Gold and Hills. Then another session was where we got Ropes and Driver from. So the EP is actually 2 different sessions, but that came from the idea that we didn't have to commit to the idea that we are going in to record something and that's it. It was kind of like, let's track it, let's do it quickly, let's not overanalyze, and let's pick the ones that are strong, and that became the EP. And we just felt fortunate because honestly, we would just grab our gear, walk down the hall in the same building, so it was quite smooth.
I was in a band when I was in college, in my like very early 20s. I was probably 20, and my band had a song called Trust, and he saw us at a show and he really liked it, and he asked if he could record it, and he said he'd record it for free. So we went and we recorded it with him, and it's the best recording that I had ever been a part of. I mean, granted, I was only 20 years old, but he was obviously really talented. He had a passion for the stuff that I was doing. So I just kept wanting to work with him, and I've worked with him on 2 Trophy Fire records, and now 2 Black Map projects between the Driver EP and We Explode. So he's very talented. He gets it. We have a great rapport. When I'm recording vocals, if I'm doing something that's shitty, he tells me, and we can laugh about it. And so it's a really good thing.
I think just working with Aaron, knowing what he had done in the past, he had done the Trophy Fire records, he had done Dear Kerosene, which those are some of my favorite records, that there was already a level of respect and trust going into it. And what I enjoyed about this particular band is when we would have a general song structure and thing ready to go, we were more than happy to go into the studio and record it, knowing that, number one, we'll work out whatever minor issues may be left to figure out within that attempt to rehearse it. And also Aaron's going to provide his opinion, which we all respect. He's very quick at getting sounds, which are great sounds. Lets me play how I play. And, if he has thoughts or comments, he puts them out there, and I ask him for the same. It's just a very, very easy environment to work in, which is fun. It makes it fun. You can try, we can try things. Never felt that pressure to this is when it's got to happen, right here and now. Let's run it a few times. We could change up a chorus, a verse, things like that, try it different ways and try different ideas and then put it all together, and it's just a great environment.
I think because the album was done in 3 different sessions, it gave us a little bit of perspective of what we wanted to put on the record, in the sense of having it diverse enough that you felt like it was complete, but of course not too diverse where you felt like it was all over the place. I mean, I like both. I think there's nothing wrong with an album that has a bunch of different styles, but for this being our first full length, we didn't want to get too crazy. I mean, I love Mr. Bungle because you'll hear an album of theirs and it's just all over the place. I love that. But with this, we felt like, okay, let's keep it somewhat focused, but we were able to step back because it was 3 different sessions and say, it'd be nice to have a song that's kind of on the punk side of things, and rough around the edges. It'd be nice to have a song like And We Explode 1 that's kind of a bit more straight ahead rock. So it gave us that perspective, which was nice.
Shot like that. sharp like daggers. Yeah, we got weapons in for men. Yeah, we got minds sharp like daggers. Oh, this life should be ahead.
Thank you.
I think touring for me is it's one of the most dichotomous things because you are at the same time so exhausted and sometimes stressed, but at the same time you're also, at least for me, it feels like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel the happiest on tour. I love seeing different cities every day. I love, I love seeing, as you and I spoke about, I love seeing cities I would normally never see.
When you're out on the road with a band that you're also very good friends with, you get to see them in a different light. You're used to them in a certain capacity, but you see them in a new light. And I don't know, playing every night with these guys is a special thing. They're crazy talented musicians. I feel lucky to be playing with them. But yeah, it's kind of circus-like. You're in a small bus and you got these bunks and you wake up in a new city every night. But that's one of my favorite things in life is being able to travel.
An initial excitement, always, because it's the fun of playing music is playing live for the most part. I mean, you make the music, and if you're excited about it, you want to go play it for people, and hopefully they enjoy it. Going on tour, there's many different ways to go about it, and I don't think that even at the highest levels it's the easiest thing to do. Most people think it's just a luxury fantasy life, but it's in fact, I'm still in my sweaty clothes from being off stage and walked across in some ice cold German weather to get here. And we were excited to see there was a shower here today. The small things become in life that you take for granted when you have your stable station where you're at become more pronounced when you're out on the road, and I think you refine your life to basic needs, and then hopefully have an enjoyable moment on stage that makes it all worthwhile.
This is where I'm supposed to be when I'm on the road. Of course, it can be too much at times, and you get exhausted, and you can't wait to get home. But once I'm home, 2 weeks goes by, and I want to go back out because I just feel like, it's where I feel like the most useful. Everyone feels useful doing something in life, and I feel useful when I'm on the road. Studio too, but on tour is where I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
You know where you're going the next day, but you don't know everything about it. Even if you've been there before, you still don't know everything about it. So it's a great thing to be able to do this, travel with close friends, and do something you're proud of in front of a lot of people every night.
When you start playing an instrument at a very young age, at least for me it's instrument, I'm not a great singer, but it's so personal. I mean, it's all you do. And you sit in that room with your favorite bands and you learn all their songs, and then you get to a point where you actually can start writing your own songs. And at least stage for me is you have to get to that spot where you're going back to that place. It's the same, it's always going to be. If it's that spot where you were, where it's so personal, but you know it so well, you know it like the back of your hand, that feeling. And so it's almost the idea of, I don't know, showing them what you felt for all that time, and not in some deep way, maybe so, but you're showing them that feeling that you had for all those years, and if you do it honestly, then hopefully they enjoy it. And if you're good at it, I don't think there's a way they couldn't, I would think. But it just feels very natural, and it's that spot that you were in when you were 10 years old, learning that riff from that band that you loved so much, you know?
I feel very lucky in my travels, and one thing that music has brought me is being fortunate enough to be able to travel all over. It's very important to me. I think it's cliche, but it's one of the greatest ways to learn is to travel. So I feel wildly fortunate to be able to do that and not just travel and go to some fucking economics conference, but to travel and, do something I love in front of people. So it makes me happy.
Eyes on the prize, to feel the biggest life. Arrows over air, to walk in the parade. But I can't help feel sometimes so uneasy, like a prison guard lost his keys. Before I'm cast upon the stars' side, I just wanna feel some sunlight. We are here, we are upright and tall. Meet me, let's go. Eyes on the prize at the brick house at noon, waiting for the moon, drinking and worrying. Before I'm cast upon the stars' side, I just wanna feel some sunlight. We are here, we are upright and tall. Meet me, let's go. Before I'm cast upon the stars' side, I just wanna feel some sunlight. We are here, we are upright and tall. Meet me, let's go.
Thank you.
just the driver, man. I'm just the driver.